Hi, this is Jason T. Ingram. I'm just doing a little special video here talking about part of my self-care, which is vegging out. And I think a lot of people have a hard time incorporating entertainment into their self-care because they don't know how therapeutic it is. And there's also this sort of guilt when somebody's watching TV when they're sick, thinking, oh, I should be out in nature and jogging and doing all these healthy things and eating salad. And sometimes um, you're so sick and you need to get away and you need to have something that's going to take your mind off of stuff. And so movies that make you think and make you feel or make you laugh or make you cry are really good because they help you to get in touch with your emotions. And if you keep your mind open, you might learn some stuff about yourself or about life, or just, say, hey, life, what am I trying to learn from this movie or this story? And I'm going to start with a bunch of these biographies that I got. First off, this one, there's a movie called Love and Mercy about Brian Wilson, about his struggling with the entertainment industry as a mentally disabled person. And the video's amazing. I've gotten it a couple times and I even bought a copy of it. And I have the book on CD, and I've been getting this from the library. So hopefully when I get into the hospital this week, I can read more than chapter 3, because it takes me so long to read. But I should have a lot of time for that when I get into the hospital. So there was a section at the library with a bunch of autobiographies. And so I decided to check some out that would have some similarities with my life. And this one here, Jackson Pollock, if there was ever a crazy artist in our time, it would be him, who was sort of the quintessential modern day Vincent van Gogh. And another situation too where he did not have access to the help that he needed, and if he did, maybe it was his choice. I don't know. I think that some people need more help than they get, and it's sad that when people do get famous sometimes, that could be the very thing that destroys them, as well as being the very thing that saves them. And so if I ever had a boost in exposure like that, and I know what it's like to be suddenly put in a place where I'm in an incredible amount of influence, like overnight. Now I can say I don't know what that's like. I could say I do know from what I've been viewing in some of these videos here that trying to get my cat in her special spot, but she's not being very cooperative right now. Kiska, what are you doing there, kitty cat? She's a little nervous because I packed my suitcase full of stuff, and I haven't been out of town since September. So I'm a little nervous about leaving the house because of dealing with some agoraphobia, but it's never been like a huge issue for me. And she deals with my stuff that I deal with. So here's an autobiography about Ayn Rand, who I've just started getting into a little bit of her material. And her life's interesting as well, but not a lot I could relate to, though. But it was amazing, though, being a foreigner and a woman and a novelist, and the effect that she had. This was a really neat story. I couldn't relate to a lot of it. I know that this guy here got bullied a lot when he was younger because he's small, and although he's straight, he got accused of being gay because of his personality. And his name is Carol Spinney, and he was the guy that played Big Bird. And I, of course, loved Big Bird when I was a little kid because he was big and he acted so gay. And the story of George Harrison I like because I felt like there was so much magic in the Beatles and their music and their lives and their creativity and all this stuff. And I feel like a lot of the magic came from this guy. And so I'm glad they have a whole 2-part documentary about his life and what he contributed. So that's good. So I got to take all these videos. Here was an interesting story. Tales from Earthsea is one of the Studio Ghibli, beautiful Japanese animation. And it was just another story that reminded me of what it's like to be overpowered by a cruel king and cruel people that are over me. And there's a lot of movies I haven't even gotten to yet that I'm going to take back. But I'm kind of tired of getting library movies anyways. I think I'm going to go back to Netflix. I don't even know what this one is here. And I love watching about the life of Stephen Hawking because it is interesting, though, when you see somebody who's that disabled and who depends on other people for everything just about in his life, except for his work. And his work is more extraordinary than just about anybody living these days as far as his ideas and his discoveries and his contributions and his ability to communicate to people who don't know a lot about science. Like me, I've never really studied science seriously. So I love being able to hear about his life and the kindness that people show him and the contribution he makes to society. And I think about, are there other disabled people like him that we should be listening to? So, let's see here. Didn't watch that one. Didn't watch that one. This one was lame, but it's alright. It was worth watching. And it's a musical documentary I didn't get to yet. Okay, let me see some more of my... see, I've got all these discs. Sometimes I get so tired and exhausted, I just put in one movie to the other, so I have this pile of empty cases, and then I'll have a pile of discs, and so now I've got to organize them. Here's the one I've been watching lately is Ai Weiwei, and I think his story inspires me, just the fact that he was such a fucking badass. I mean, this guy was amazing at changing the world and everything. So this is my bedroom TV. And this is where I've been spending a lot of time, because there's one thing about watching TV in my living room, and then if I'm really feeling sick, that's all I do is stay in bed. Here was a great story. This one is called A Man Within, about the life and the work of William S. Burroughs. And I love this guy because he was so weird, and he was so demented and so twisted, and he was so okay with the fact that he was self-destructive, he was unkind to a lot of people, and he just didn't really care what people thought of him. I don't respect a lot of what he did, but I do respect the fact that he came out as a gay man way before anybody felt like it was safe to do that. And I'm glad I can be out of the closet and gay, although it's a spoof that I say I'm in the closet publicly. But I hardly get any shit for it. I get a lot of shit for being crazy. Here's a great one. This was the story about Paul Gauguin. Horribly done documentary. Hilariously bad. And, this Ai Weiwei, so fucking sexy. I didn't get to watch the scenes about the interviews in there. But man, Paul Gauguin was a great example of what artists should not do. I mean, he had all the characteristics of somebody who was irresponsible and took advantage of people because he was so needy. I'm sure it was so related to his suffering, but man, he just had like the typical crazy artist life, and he suffered more than he should have. And I think he made a lot of other people suffer more than they should have as well. And so, let's see here. Oh, Spirited Away. This is definitely the Studio Ghibli film that everybody has to watch. So I just soak up all the bonus features on that one. That's one of my crying movies. It's just wonderful if you haven't seen that. Boy, here's some more ones that I haven't caught. Some comedies. Now I wonder what happened to my copy of War Games. I love this movie. I can't believe how prophetic it was. So hopefully that disc will show up in the midst of all of this stuff. So anyways, library materials are great because you can keep renewing them sometimes if you have a library that allows you to do that. So you don't have to go every week unless you really want to. And I just got to keep an eye on them, and I've got to go online and I've got to renew them regularly, and maybe a day ahead of time I like to renew them. And they're free, which is great. And so, gosh, I wonder what happened to War Games. This was one of my favorites as a kid. And here's one I bought at the library. And this is season 1, and I also had one of season 2 of the old show The Waltons. And I like it because it was written from a progressive point of view about the Depression. In the 70s is when they made it, which was kind of a depression too. And we are in it, so it's just a great way to view culture and stuff like that. So I'll show you what else I'm doing here. Got my bed fixed yesterday and made and changed the sheets, which was good because my house was such a horrible mess, and I don't want to come back from the hospital with my house a mess. So I was packing my clothes here for the last 5 days, just making sure I have everything ready for that. So now it's the day before I'm going in the hospital, and believe it or not, this is a clean kitchen. It's usually not this clean, and all I have is a few more dishes to put away, and I'll be able to come home to a pretty clean place. So I'm really jazzed about that because it's just a way that I could feel better about coming home, because this home has been a safe place for me for 6 years now. I've had it, and at the same time though, it became unsafe when I lost the ability to take care of myself. And so if you're not careful, it doesn't matter how safe your home is, if you can't take care of yourself, and if you don't have enough people in your lives that are giving you that support, then yeah, your home can be an unsafe place, because you might not be able to take care of yourself to where you're not bathing as much, and maybe you're not eating well, and maybe you stop paying bills, and you just start getting in trouble, and you just start seeing your life fall apart little by little. And so that's what started happening to me late summer, and it's been several months that I've been in this depression, and the only way that I found to get out of it was to really start and find out what it is I need to do in my life, and do whatever I can to make that step. And that's when it became to the point when, wow, I don't know if I can have it. And that's when I got stuck. But I'm glad that I decided to dig as deep as I can into my life to make sure that I had all the stuff I needed to deal with in my life. So I have to have my little Kiska talk, where I say, Kiska, you're going to be bored and lonely here for a week or two. And I'm sorry, but Papa Bear has to take care of himself. Now we set 4 mouse traps here, So stay away from those. And if a mouse gets killed in them, you'll have a snack. There'll be a house sitter here coming over once or twice, so be nice to him. And don't run away when I'm gone, which you never do, which is good. And yes, you will have your spot right here. She has totally owned this spot. It's really funny. She does kind of change her behaviors about every year or so. She likes different things and stuff like that. She has different habits.